Hello, everybody, and apologies for the light behind me. I do have the blinds closed, believe it or not. It's early morning and the sun is shining from that direction, so we got a big old blinding spot behind me. So bear with me. This is another very quick video popping in to sort of say hey to everybody and see what's going on and kind of check in. But today's message is not about productivity. It's not about processes. It's not about personal development, and it's not me venting anything, although there's a minor vent coming up. Today is a day I want to make note of all the people out there who are literally on the front lines of this war that we're having with this invisible virus that we can't see. Those are all of the healthcare workers, doctors, nurses, medical assistants, all the people out there in the hospitals, in the clinics, dealing with people who are dealing with general stuff. On top of that, coronavirus issues that are making the service of being in medicine right now that much more frustrating and stressful. I also want to thank the first responders that arrive on scenes as well, such as firefighters, such as paramedics, such as police officers who are doing what they're doing, from anything from directing traffic, keeping crowds down, making sure people are listening to the rules and regulations given by their various municipalities, or responding to all things, regular alerts, car accidents, people in distress, just taking care of regular people on a regular basis and trying to keep themselves safe from coronavirus as well. Now, the small ranty part is hopefully kind of funny, but my wife tends, because we're married and you say your husband, your wife, your spouse is your best friend. Well, my wife will tell people I'm her best friend, but her actual best friend is her best friend from high school. And to the point that whenever she's in town or we're in town where she stays, she disappears for hours on end where I can't find her. So whatever they're doing it on their own. And then they never tell me what's going on. So that's what they have going on. But the actual important part and why she's relevant to this message is the fact that she is a nurse, and she's a nurse that works extra overtime, for lack of a better term. She actually works for two medical facilities. She works for a regular hospital, and then she works for a couple of nursing homes where she takes shifts and helps people, dealing with people in those needs. And so she's a very hardworking person. I've always had much respect for her on those levels. She's a person who is literally taking care of people, and she's in this place that is far from a hotspot, not a lot going on, and she's essentially just dealing with regular people. But there are regular people in places that aren't hotspots that are just as frustrated, just as freaked out, just as scared about what's going on. So she has to deal with people who are already in their normal matter of distress, who are worried, maybe overly, but which is not a bad thing right now, of the extra burden of what's going on with this virus. So I sent her a text this morning saying thank you directly to her for all she does anyway, and she sent me a text back saying she appreciated it. But this is just a message to remind everybody out there that I know you know someone who works in medicine somewhere. There's someone down the line who is a friend, a spouse, a cousin, acquaintance, a neighbor, a friend, a parent of your kids' friends, who is a doctor, who is a nurse, who is a paramedic, who is a police officer, who is a firefighter, who is doing all those things that deal with directly with medicine, directly with health, directly with safety, who are directly affected by what's going on. Now, a lot of people who are dealing with just general patients in general at hospitals are finding themselves sick and ill because they're overly stressed with the extra workloads they're putting in right now. There's also dealing with people who are directly infected with various things, which if you're tired and you're stressed, your immune system has a better chance of picking up on that. And there's a lot of doctors, the really odd thing about this is doctors, nurses, hospital professionals who have come in contact with coronavirus, and once they start to show symptoms of them taking out as well, have to take themselves off the front lines, bow out of work, basically not be out there fighting the fight when things are going on. It's the same thing as saying a firefighter, a fire jumper jumping into the woods to fight a forest fire. They go into the forest fire, they fight for a little bit, and then they twist their ankle a small sign of something going wrong, and then they pull themselves out. That's just as severe as they break their leg. It doesn't really matter. You don't want them getting worse, and if they have small symptoms, you don't want them getting other people infected, so they have to pull themselves out of the fight. Here in Arkansas, numbers are not quite as significant, not quite as high, and the lifestyle, although we are now on a curfew going from 9 p.m. to 5 a.m. unless you're going back from work. Stores are all closed at 8:30 for the most part. Most of the retail stores that aren't grocery type stores do not allow you inside the stores. They're doing curb drop off and pick up. Most of the restaurants are having pickup. A lot of those are text them and they'll bring it out to the curb. There's a lot of things going on for us to do the social distancing and flatten the curve or whatever. But people who cannot do that are the people who are dealing with patients every single day, especially those who are dealing with symptoms of COVID-19. So while I sit here in my office and I'm worried about trying to get students processed so that they can still continue school on distance learning or online learning, however you want to call it, these are people who can't do distance doctoring, distance emergency room work, distance surgery. These are people doing things along the lines. So take the time to say thank you to a medical worker, a first responder. If you know any in particular, say thanks. If you're just a social media person, pop a little message on their Facebook, on their Twitter, on their Instagram. Just say thank you. And because of the flood of people chatting things up on the internets right now and clogging up YouTube and Facebook, if you see this message and you think it's worthy of something, share it with a few people so they can see that. Once again, I want to thank my wife's actual best friend, who is a very, very hard worker and kind person. And she's out there fighting the fight, and do a much better job at fighting the fight than I am, sitting in my office trying to get people's passwords reset. Thank you guys so much. If you want to check out other things that I do other than reset passwords, check out jclevelandpayne.net. That's my website where many, many things live. And I have a lot of media things going on. So look for me and look for things going down the line. This is not a place for selling stuff, but if you want to kind of see a quick look at some of the things I have going on, check out my main website, jclevelandpayne.net. Letter J, Cleveland like the city, PAYNE.net. And if you have questions, comments, anything, come my way, jclevelandpayne@gmail.com. Once again, thank you so much to all the people out there fighting on the front lines, all the medical workers, all the first responders, all the people out there doing what you can to make sure that we stay safe, and the people who are suffering right now are getting the great treatment that I know you're all providing. Share this message, share this video, share the love to as many folks as you can. And just remember, this is temporary. Everything is temporary. We are temporary. So we'll get through this. We'll get back to something that's closer to what was before normal. And we'll be hanging out sooner than we think.